Hello, and welcome to the Project Good podcast. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Hilton. Project Good is a social impact podcast interviewing experts and advocates about the pressing problems that we face globally and hearing how they suggest we move forward in the future. The Project Good podcast is brought to you by Project Good Work. The goal of this podcast is to inspire people and organizations to develop a mindset that can move others to positive action regarding the complex social issues facing people and the planet. For December, we are focusing on our organization of the year, Lensational. Founded in 2013 on International Women's Day, Lensational is a nonprofit social enterprise that equips marginalized women in the developing world with digital cameras and photography training to tell their stories. Lensational is headquartered in London with its largest hubs and only active hubs in Hong Kong, Kenya, and Guyana. Lensational's three activities are equipping women with cameras, training, and mentorship to tell their stories. Lensational works to identify problems through which photography may provide a medium for change or a solution. This can stem from personal connection within the team or through learning institutions, local NGOs, and women's groups. Lastly, Lensational facilitates platforms through which women can share their stories and through the sale of images and partnerships that bridge the knowledge gap between the women they work with and related stakeholders. Lensational has trained over 1,000 women in 23 countries. In 2019, Lensational worked with its women photographers to produce the book, Our Shared Forest, raising awareness of women's role in climate action. Our Shared Forest features the work of 27 women photographers from Guyana, Nigeria, Kenya, and China on the themes of nature, the environment, and climate change. Along with producing photo books about pressing global issues, Lensational works with social programs and organizations to develop photo series bringing to light different problems and issues affecting people around the world. In addition, the organization has been featured in respected news outlets worldwide such as The Guardian, ABC News, TEDx, Mashable, and Huffington Post. Lensational volunteers have spoken about the organization at events in over 10 countries, and over 4,000 people have seen their students' photos at exhibits. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Lensational CEO Lydia Wanjiku Kibandi, who recently took over as CEO from founder Bonnie Chu. Ms. Wanjiku Kibandi, along with being CEO, is a writer, photojournalist, and a skilled leader. Lydia's passion for what she does is seen in the fact that she's intimately involved with different populations of emerging photographers. Let's get into the interview. Today, I'm interviewing Lydia Wanjiku Kibandi, CEO of Lensational. Lensational is a global movement empowering underrepresented women to tell their own story and advocate for themselves through media training. Through photography, Lensational works to give women and girls emotional and economic empowerment. The organization has trained over 1,000 women in 23 countries, and the organization has won several awards, including the HEVOS Social Innovation Award, the Facebook Social Entrepreneurship Award, and the UN SDG Action Award. As an organization focused on uplifting women, Lensational continues to showcase that once women are empowered, communities have a voice and are improved. Welcome, Lydia.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, so thank you for your time, and I'm so excited to learn more about Lensational today. So before we get into the questions, I always like to ask how someone gets involved in their different organizations and different causes. So how did you get involved with Lensational?
Well, it's a really funny and interesting story. I learned about Lensational when I was doing a job search. I was trying to get into a career that I would enjoy. And fast forward, I was looking everywhere and a tweet popped up about an organization that's empowering women through photography. I was already so passionate about telling stories. I ran a blog of my own at that time, and I felt like this fell right in line of what I was looking for at that particular moment. And I followed the tweet to the website, and I found the website, and they had an opening for a curations officer, and I signed up for that. They reached back to me and they asked me where I was based. Obviously I'm based in Kenya even now, and unfortunately because of the distance, they couldn't hire me or admit me into the organization. Also, just because they didn't have that capacity to move me to to the headquarters. But they requested if I was interested in starting a program here in Kenya. I was very excited, and that's just how I started. I got involved first with Lensational, and we started the first program here in Mathare, and the rest is just history.
Oh, wow. It's amazing how sometimes you're just looking for something and then it just opens up a whole new world and door. And so that's a wonderful story. For our audience that, of course, is not maybe interested knowing the background of Lensational, how did Lensational begin?
So Lensational started with our founder, Wanjiku, and she founded Lensational upon the inspiration of two personal encounters that she had. The first one, and one that she's completely passionate about, is one that was with her grandmother. Bonnie at that time was doing distant learning, and one of the ways that her grandmom, who despite not being able to write or read, would communicate with her was through pictures that she would take during her time away, of the things that she found were important and beautiful to her, and that she wanted Bonnie to experience through these images. The second was at Istanbul, where Bonnie was, just snapping away some pictures, and these Muslim girls just approached her and asked her if she could take pictures of them and also just teach them how to use a camera. And just that first interaction that she observed that the girls had at just holding the camera for the first time was, I think, eye-opening to begin with. But then later on, when they exchanged social media handles and when the girls were uploading the images that Bonnie had taken of them, she realized the narratives they told under each of the images was so different from the conventional or stereotypical kind of messages that Bonnie was accustomed to being associated with Muslim women and girls. And she realized that photography is such a universal language, and she set out to think about how photography can transcend other types of boundaries that hold women and girls back from fully achieving their potential.
Now, for the women, and now since Bonnie decided to start Lensational as a way to empower women using photography, I guess, how do women become part of the program now?
So there are a number of ways that, we identify with the women that we want to work with. So the first one is, as you mentioned, it could just stem from a personal connection within the team. Someone can spot a problem that they feel that photography will be a good medium to resolve or to provide a medium for change. The second way is that an NGO may have a program that's already running and they feel that photography would be a great incorporation into the work they're already doing. So that can range from NGOs to learning institutions to just different people who feel that photography can be incorporated into the programs that they have. And the third way is through partnerships that we have with a different group of NGOs who are keen on learning about a particular issue that women are going through. This can be an NGO funder, an individual funder, and they have specifics of what they want to learn. And this also just allows for us to find a group of women that is able to communicate within that particular context. So those are the three main ways that we have found to work with women. And then there's also one that's organic when, and this has particularly been happening a lot, especially in Hong Kong, when we have alumni of Lensational talk about the program and the impact, more women come up and they want to join the program as well.
That's interesting that more women are, or I guess maybe it's because of maybe the global global movement of pushing women to be empowered. Maybe that's why you've been seeing more women, I guess, get up and stand up and want to participate. One of the things that I noticed as I was doing my research and looking at your site and reviewing some of the photos is that the themes of the photos and videos, they deal with some really tough topics and issues such as human trafficking. Do women volunteer to cover these topics, or are these topics assigned?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in most cases, actually in all cases, the women volunteer to talk about these issues. I like to say, and we all like to say, that for us, it's simply the women are really just the real experts in everything. For us, is to simply facilitate the best way for them to communicate their points of view. So yeah, just to repeat. So yeah, most of the themes are selected by the women based on something that they are keen on changing within their communities or their own lives.
Now, I guess how, or from the different women that you've worked in, this is coming kind of from their perspective, how have they said that this has empowered them or changed their lives?
In many ways. So the first impact that's usually very evident on both sides is just kind of this sense of urgency starts being reawakened within them. You notice that their confidence starts to blow than we find them. For some of the women, this has also provided an opportunity for generating income. And for most women, I think just being able to bring outsiders into their own worlds and give them, an unfiltered view of what life is. First of all, just being able to share that with a wider audience, and then for people to do something about it. I think that is one of the other ways that, I believe that is one of the other impacts that the women are always talking about, and that they feel they are very grateful about.
Now, one of the things that I think I noticed either on your Facebook or Instagram, on Lensational's Facebook or Instagram, was that you had recently went to see the Maasai in Kenya, and do you have any highlights that you want to share from your visit?
Yes, I have one amazing, experience that I had with a woman from one of the communities that we work in here. A few weeks back, I sat with a group of women from Loita in Kenya to discuss how their perspectives and viewpoints on climate change may be used to inform development for plans and policies in national adaptation and mitigation. So this is in one of the projects that we are working with the National Adaptation Global Network. And as I interacted with these women, it occurred to me that for many of them, it felt as though it's a far-fetched dream, and they seemed not to believe that it's possible for their voices to be heard by, these high-level people that we were talking to them about. And finally, one of the women, her name is Esther Kone, cited that why it felt almost impossible for this to be a reality is because, never in their entire lives before had anyone inquired what could be the impacts of the climate crisis on their land, much less on their personal lives. And like many other women, she felt that their voices are too far, almost imperceptible to those that make the relevant decisions that directly or indirectly impacts their lives. However, she mentioned that her hope is now in knowing that by us joining hands, we could form a bridge between communities like hers and the people that so urgently need to hear these voices. And I think that for me was an encounter that reinforced the importance of the work that we do. And I love to hear these individual stories because they not only help us to know how best to create impact, but then, it's comforting to know that we're bringing some kind of change into these women's lives.
Yes, and that, I kind of highlighted in the introduction. So you, as an organization, have really taken on the issue of climate change as a hot topic, and of course a globally important topic as we all live on this turning ball. In your book, Shared Forests, you have not only just looked at Kenya, but you've also looked at other regions around the world, which I think is just fantastic because you are getting people who are on the ground and dealing with this daily. And I think that is definitely one of the perspectives that is lost in the larger movement. So to have that intimate knowledge compiled in a book and people to see what a daily life is extremely important. On the same trajectory, as you know, and unfortunate that the world is continuously having larger and larger problems globally, not just with climate change, but one of the questions for a lot of companies nowadays that want to get involved in these different movements for improvement, how can these companies get involved with Lensational?
Awesome. There are very many ways that people can get involved with us. I think the first and probably one of the most important ways is to partner with us, and that can be, whether that's financially or in supporting us to be able to reach more people. And the beauty with these partnerships is that they're always, mutually beneficial to both us and the people that partner with us. Like you've said, that there are so many things that are happening, globally, and I think everybody is trying to figure out how can we pitch in. And so this is one of the best ways that anyone can pitch in, is just to support our work in a way that they see fit, just helping, pushing us or supporting us in making sure that we can reach as many people and that we can voice as many women's voices as we possibly can. I suppose another way that people can support is by, providing access to their networks. I think that we all know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that can help. And so, just providing that rich network of access. And another way is to just, share the kind of work that we do, and making sure it's as visible as possible to, almost everyone, because like we said, we try to make sure that these voices are heard across the world, and therefore just sharing that impact would be really helpful. And then maybe the last way that people can support is just, volunteering their time. in the activities that we have going on day to day. I think that in those ways we would feel well supported and be able to have more maximum impact.
Now, one of the ways, obviously, that you have mentioned is that you offer and sell your photographs, and also you host exhibits. I know, obviously, there is a pandemic that is still going on, but when are you at Lensational going to have your next photography exhibit?
We have a couple of exhibits that we are currently planning. So we have 2 that are set towards the end of November, and I believe in the beginning of December. And in November we have one planned here in Kenya. In December we have one planned in Ghana, and in Hong Kong as well we have one planned at the end of the year. So that it's going to be really exciting to see how that goes, and it's also been really exciting to note that many people have been interested in partnering with us to see how they can exhibit more and more of the work that we do. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds over the next couple of months.
Fantastic. I'm like, I wish I could be there in person. Are you ever going to, I guess, be offering some of your exhibits virtually, or is that something that's already possible?
That is in the plans for sure. That is in the plans, yes. But not within the 3 that I mentioned. But we're planning to, just because of the pandemic, you mentioned that it's been really difficult to have exhibits around different parts, but also, I guess, just for people to see the different contexts. I think that online reach is really helpful. So we're planning to have more of those as well.
Yep, fantastic. I am a great lover of photography. I'm just an amateur. I just do it for fun, but yes. So I would be very interested once you start to do it virtually. Now to change the conversation a little bit and to touch on sort of your new role as the new CEO. What would you say are your, I know you can't discuss all of them, but as the new CEO of Lensational, do you have any new directives that you could discuss with us that you are planning to implement?
Yes, sure. I can share that in brief. I suppose one of the main things that I'm hoping to work on is just, working together with the team that's already been working and seeing how better we can run our programs to have the most impact and just be as sustainable as possible. So just setting up some structures that can support that. I also believe that, it's amazing that people can volunteer, but I also began as a volunteer, and my hope is that we can have more people that can join the teams on, full-time paid basis, and I guess the last one is just to revolutionize the concept of philanthropy within the organization. I think that the past concept, has always, of philanthropy, it's always been seen as the purview of, billionaires and celebrities and big international NGOs. But my hope is that we can lead just a culture shift, where everybody, regardless of who they are, feels that they have an opportunity to feel what it feels like to be philanthropic, to help someone by whether it's donating a camera or give someone a voice through commissioning a story, and then being able to share this with, their socials and about how they contribute. So that is one of the other things that I'm hoping to implement moving forward.
Fantastic. I like the I like the focus on philanthropy because, yes, most people always think about the, really wealthy doing philanthropy, but the place that we find ourselves in as a global society, I think philanthropy needs to be happening in almost everybody's lives these days, because we are, if I guess the UN is correct, and if 2030 is going to look as problematic as they have predicted, I think everybody needs to just readdress how they do life and think about their part as part of this global society. So I love that you are making philanthropy accessible to everyone.
Yes.
And now to sort of end on a fun note, I always like stories. I think everybody does. What is the best story that you can share about Lensational?
So this is a really fun question for me because it's also very personal. I think that we talk a lot about empowering, underrepresented women, and that is great. But the other thing that I have noticed about Lensational is just in how we're able to empower within the team as well. My case probably being the most evident. I joined Lensational when I was very young. I think I was the only thing I was sure of is that I wanted to be a storyteller and I wanted to help other people tell their stories. But my journey of growth and the wonderful team that has supported me into this role, I think is one of the stories that I love to tell. And I like to tell people myself that I am one empowered woman from Lensational. So if they are looking at the impact of Lensational, they should probably start with me, as I have grown out of, the wonderful work that we do. So I that has to be one of the stories that I love to tell, and that even, people close to me have always marveled at, how we're able not only to empower externally, but then also internally. And I think that's a really a story worth being heard by as many people as possible.
I love that, to have somebody, it's one of the things to be an example of what you are, I don't want to say advertising, I was looking for a different word, but that you are promoting is, unusual, but these days, but it shows a different type of strength that I think that many companies do not have. So to show somebody that has started out as a volunteer and has grown all the way to be the CEO shows extreme empowerment and should be an encouragement to many women. So I love that story as well. I wanted to say that I really enjoyed learning about all the things that Lensational is doing. And of course, being a lover of photography, that's actually what drew me to contact you to interview at the first place. I want to say thank you for your time and insight. And if you'd like to learn more about Lensational, go to www.lensational.org. If you have a passion for an unserved community, a social justice problem, or simply want to change minds, contact Project Good Work at projectgood.work to start your project of change today. Thank you to our listeners. Thanks for tuning in to Project Good. We're focused on what matters.